Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. While we wait for others to join, could you all please share the meeting link with our respective groups so that our other teammates can join and also learn from our speaker this evening. Thank you. Okay, thank you everyone again for joining in. We really appreciate everyone's time. Please, can you confirm that you can hear me and my mic is clear? Okay, thank you very much. Uh, Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm trying to check if Abimbola is in this call. Oh yes, she is. Awesome. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session, this evening's session. It's a huge honor to have our speaker Abimbola Bajomo in this session this evening. I also want to take time to specially thank each and every one here to for taking an hour out of your evening to join us today. Before I bring in our speaker, I would like to take a moment to also acknowledge where we are. Thumbs up to everyone who keeps showing up, right? Showing up is how we achieve great things in life, and I want to give a shout out to everyone that is present here this evening. So I'll be handing off to Abimbola Abimbola Bajomo to take over from here. Hi Abimbola, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Please confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me, please? Okay, hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Pleasure It's a pleasure to be here and to meet everyone. My name is Abimbola. I'm a product manager. I've been building products for quite a number of years. I think um,
It seems Abimbola just dropped off, but while she jumps back in, I'm just going to take a few minutes to introduce her while she, gets her internet back up, right? Abimbola is Abimbola is our mentor for today's session, and she's someone who has spent over 8 years building products across edutech. Hi, Abimbola, are you back?
yes, I'm back. Sorry,
Okay.
network.
So sorry, I skipped reading your intro, so you can just keep your camera on while I read your intro, please.
Oh,
So sorry. I know you were just about to dig into that. I'm really, really sorry. So Abimbola is currently the product lead for retail channels and payments at Credit Direct Limited, where she drives the strategy and delivery of digital lending, investments, and payments. Abimbola's background currently includes high-growth African tech companies such as GoCada and Remita, with a consistent focus on one thing, which is turning complex systems into products people can actually use. She's known for her precision in how she defines and ships work, her strong views on requirements, quality, and a belief that I love this. And then clarity is also like a delivery before, not an afterthought. This is very important to Abimbola. She's also a public speaker, which is also one of the reasons why she's here. And she's a trainer across multiple communities. And she's also a contributor to African Fintech Library by Builders in Fintech. Please, before she goes on, I want everyone to give Abimbola a round of applause in the comment. I want to see the reactions bubbling. This is not just anybody. This is an OG in product. And she will be taking us on how to scope a solution you can actually ship. Let's go. Over to you, Abimbola.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks very much, Deborah. Good evening, everybody. So I'll be sharing my screen. I prepared something. I don't know how much, but please confirm if you can see my screen, please. Yeah.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. Thank you. Sorry, I'm still at work, by the way. I just had to stay to do this. Basically, when I think of how people have a lot of solutions, what I've discovered or what I've found out, and this is because you guys are here to build something, test something. One of the experiences that I've had is we tend to build from solutions perspective rather than from a problems perspective. And I'll give you an idea. Let me say, about 5 years ago, this 2026, so let me say 6 years ago, 2020, in the year 2020, a lot of people might not have been in tech, but one of the things that changed globally was the number of people that had access to funds. So if you were a LinkedIn OG that time, you just wake up in the morning and you just see, oh, this person got access to $15 million. Oh, this person has raised Series A, Series B, Series W. And you start seeing big amount of money. Then sometimes 3 years ago, 2024, it all disappeared. between 2023, 2024, we started hearing things like, I can't withdraw my funds, I can't take my money. We started hearing things like, what's happening to your product is not working, I can't log in. Then we started seeing a lot of shalais going on online, founders write emails. We started seeing reports of some founders running away. We started seeing news of companies folding up. A lot of companies built from solution rather than problem. So at the end of the day, there was no customer to use their product. And for someone like me that has worked so much in the back end of things, I spent the biggest part of my career, even though I've worked in edutech, logistics tech, I can tell you that I did payments in every way that I worked. And because I've spent laudable amount of my career on payments, I've seen it evolve from one level to another, especially for someone like me that was born into the financial ecosystem. My parents were bankers, my uncles are bankers, my cousins are bankers. So I come from a banking family and that kind of heavy ecosystem. So I've seen it move and I've seen it evolve. And I can tell you for free or for a fact that retail customers are the most difficult customers to work with. Anybody here that works in marketing, that works in growth, anybody that is in my mentorship group will remember the conversation that we had over the weekend when I said, if you don't have a problem that you're solving, your customers might not be able to buy into it. And you will end up having people on board to try your product. And that's why you see a lot of these businesses that I gave example about folding up. So the retail market is a very fragile market. It's different from the B2B, and I'll still talk about the B2B stage as I'm going. The retail market is a very fragile market. And what do I mean by retail market? P2P, me to you, is the retail market. It's a very fragile market that if you build or you are building for a particular use case or for a particular person and you are not solving a problem, they will come while you still give them an attention and they will go. Before now, we always had mobile banking, but many people did not understand the problem to be solved. And I'll give you for free from an example of OPay. OPay did not ship a solution, they solved a problem. Number one, account numbers. One of the problems that they solved was account numbers are among us. A lot of people, when it comes to financial inclusion, they cannot remember their account number. They have to check their phone to pick up their account number. So that was a problem that they defined. They did not know how they are going to solve it, but they knew that that was a problem. So when they wrote it down as a problem, number one. Number two, another problem is no matter how fast or no matter how digital we are as a business, people cannot verify transactions faster. It was a problem. I remember one year I transferred money from Zenith Bank to Union Bank, and I kept calling the two banks, and each of them were telling me the money is with Zenith. The other one said the money is with Union. They defined that problem and they wrote it down. This is the problem. They did not define the solution to solve it. They just defined that this is the problem. And they started like that. This is the problem that we want to solve. How we want to solve it is now based on the different things that we're saying. Now, what exists today is what they started with. What exists today is we have a payment rail and it's NIBS. NIBS is the only way you can transfer. How can we do it? Is there another way around it? And that is how you scope a solution that can actually ship. If you start thinking of solutions from solutions perspective, you will end up building what somebody else has built without solving any problem. So that's why many people in the retail market are falling into the coincidence of having the same thing. Opay solved the problem by saying, let's use our phone numbers. But guess what? A lot of people said, this thing that Opay did makes sense, so let's go and copy it. They didn't even think of the problem that Opay was trying to solve, as at the time that Opay used phone number as a unique identifier. Many people did not even think of the limitations that the phone number gave. They just jumped right into it. They did not understand that there was actually a benefit behind mobile numbers. And so you saw a lot of PalmPay, Money Point, a lot of them jumped into the same ship to do the same thing that Opay had done. And for me, this is where you say, is it bad to copy? No. But is there a way that you can actually look at that particular thing that your competitor has done, look at the limitations of what existed before? And those are the things that we say that you ship from problem to solution. So that is just me saying, in the ecosystem that we belong to today, a lot of things are scoped from solutions to problems perspective. And so in my slides, I'm going to be talking to you a lot about it. And now you've defined the problem. You are now in a solutions perspective. How do you actually ship something that it is a problem that you're ready to solve? So you've already defined what the problem is. Now, how do you move from the problem stage to the solution definition stage to actually shipping what you've defined is what I'm going to talk about now. So let me move to my next slide. Okay, yeah. So now, without scoping, your projects will require a lot of stress and a lot of rework. I'll give you a full example. I'm working on 2 projects now. And one of the projects, it was a funny conversation that I had this morning. One of the projects, we scoped it to the letter of dot. And the thing about product management is that we don't get to tell how things will be built. Our boundary stops at what, who, and why, and how sits with engineering team. But as a technical product manager, you can always say, oh, this is the end result. This is what I'm expecting, right? So I've told you what, I've told you who, I've told you why. So I've answered the question of who, what, and why. Now, as a technical product manager, you can now go forward and say what, this is the success. This is what I am expecting. So how you are going to get me this, I don't know, but this is what I am expecting. This is the result. So the definition of success, the definition of result now sits with you to say, this is the definition that I want for my result. So now, we defined all that. We now give it to the engineering team. Can you show us how you're going to do it? And in their mind, we're like, oh, no, this is not hard. We'll just do this here. And somebody on my team said, no, can you document it? And the engineer said, no problem. But on the second project, this engineer said, okay, I'm going to scope it. I'm going to work with you. Let's scope it line by line. So we had a full Excel sheet where you broke everything down. And this is him even breaking down to detail of the user story and acceptance criteria that product had given to him. He broke it down line by line, step by step, the API calls that he will make, the integrations that he will need. And while we were breaking it down, we started seeing something. We started seeing gaps. Oh, we don't have this. We'll need this. We're able to say, we need integration for this. We'll need integration for this. Oh, this thing does not exist. We will need to build. So it was at that breaking down stage, we now were able to say, oh, we need an extra engineer from the core banking team. Now, the two projects, the first one kicked off immediately. The second one did not kick off immediately. Tell me why the second project is completed and the first project is not yet completed. Because on the second project, we were able to define to the letter. So before we started the project, we knew what our blockers were. So while engineers were working, product team were working on the blockers. But the second project, we did not identify the blockers at the beginning. So at testing stage, we started seeing the blockers, and we now had to start doing engagement to unblock the blockers. So guess who is done? Project 2 is done. Project 1 is still struggling. And that is what scoping does. Scoping also allows you to be able to understand the timeline. When you have a more detailed scoping, it allows us to say, guys, I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen this. The developer is not just the happy person. The product manager is happy. The product marketing team is happy. The business is happy. The CEO is happy. The project managers are happy. And the customer is happy. Because guess what? We're able to build anticipation as we already know where the project timeline is. We already know that we're on day 48, which means on day 48 from this Excel sheet, this is where we are. On day 50, this is where we are. Product marketing was already creating bonds that may were coming soon, were coming live. The other product, we had started creating bonds based on the timeline. But when we started experiencing blockers, we had to stop creating bonds and we now had to fix it. Now, that one now gave us, we now took extra time on it. And that's the cost of when you don't have a proper scoping in place. We have we did not define our expectations. We did not talk about what success was. We did not identify what our possible blockers would be. And at the end of the day, we became blocked. So these are some of the things that scoping does. And scoping is not a one team thing. Like I mentioned, is a group work, is something that you do together. And that's why clarity is very, very important to me when we're talking about building solutions. With clarity too, you are able to say, it looks like we're going outside the scope. It looks like we're going outside the story. It looks like we're going to V2. It looks like we're going outside what we want to actually deliver for V1. So if you have done that level of scoping, you will not imagine the kind of beauty that you would have when you have something that you did not scope. So the first step is, before discussing features or timelines, like I mentioned, the first thing you have to define is the problem and what the business opportunity is. I think I've said this at the beginning as part of my intro to say, don't jump straight to solutions or create noise, no direction. You don't know who you're building for. You don't know what you're solving. You don't know anything. You don't even know what success looks like. And you're just like, oh, okay, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. At the end of the day, yes, in tech, we want to build something. We want to throw something in the market. And we want to throw a product that is not perfect. Exactly. If you throw a perfect product, your first productivity is perfect, then you do not build anything, because it means you spend a number of years. But even though the product is imperfect, it doesn't mean it shouldn't work. Doesn't mean it should not be properly planned. We're talking about building imperfect products. It doesn't mean we're building products that doesn't work. And that is why we talk about, you have to define your vision. What does success look like? You've explained what the problem is. You've seen what the business opportunity is. So what does success look like for you? The problem that I have defined is, and I'll use my OP example. The problem is customers don't remember their account number. What does success look like? Success looks like all customers, even illiterates. I mean, the banked, the unbanked, people that that have used banking services before, that have not used banking services before, success looks like, what success looks like is that they are able to tell the next person that this is my bank account without checking their phones, without checking their bank account details. That is what success looks like. And when you see that level to say that is what success looks like, then you know that you've started something. You're able to say that this is success. So you are building your solution to what success is. The problem is this. What is the success for that problem? What is the vision for this particular problem? Now, the next thing is approach. How do we get there? How do we ensure that customers can tell them this? And that's where your solution comes in. Now, your solution has come in. We want to use phone number. How do we do it? How do we use phone number? It's not registered on NABS. How do we go about it? Is there a way to go about it? And that process starts. That's where the process starts. And you now start thinking about it. Oh, do we go through NABS? Or do we not go through NABS? Or how do we do it? Or if they validate it on another bank, will they show? And that is where your breakdown starts. You say, if we do it this way, will it work? If we do it this way, will it work? And I'll talk about it. I will use another problem that actually Benin may be opening, but everybody actually knows how they solved their first transfer problem. Problem was people are not getting instant payments. I have to verify here. The processor, let's use the processor. We'll do our system, we'll increase our system, we'll reduce latency. When we call them, we'll wait for notification, we'll do it like this. They sat down and they said, okay, that's how we'll get there. Then somebody stood up and said, what if that guy is down? That processor that we are all relying on, which is NIPS. What if NIP is down? How do we do it? Oh, solution 2 is not only NIP that is the switch, there are other switches. So there is Coral Pay, there's Remita, there's this thing. Oh, they clapped their fingers. Yes. That's how we are going to get there. And somebody now stood up again and said, what if all of them are slow? How do we go about it? And somebody sat down and said, okay, today, and I'll tell you something that happens today with payment gateways for people that, okay, payment gateway is that Paystack. I don't know if you're familiar with that Paystack stuff that you enter your card or you pick transfer, you pick bank transfer. That stuff, we call it payment gateway. And now, when we build payment gateways, there's something that we build. There's something that we build when you enter your card. So when you enter your card to a payment gateway, what usually happens normally, traditionally, is I will call MasterCard, we'll call Visa, which is the card issuer, right? So the manufacturer of that card, is it Visa, is it MasterCard? That's what we usually do. We'll call the issuer of the card. So if your card is issued by Zenith Bank, we'll call Zenith. Then Zenith Bank will call the card scheme, or we'll call the acquirer. But most of the time, Zenith banks, they are also the issuer, they are the acquirer. There are some use cases that Zenith Bank is not the acquirer, it's just the issuer. So for example, the issuer is the bank that is issuing the card to you. So if you have an OPay card today, OPay is your issuer. But OPay might not be the acquirer of that transaction, because for you to be able to acquire a card transaction, you need to have passed some KYC level with the card scheme. So the card scheme is MasterCard, Visa card, Verve. Those are card schemes. So, for example, Zenith Bank can be the acquirer for OPay's transactions. So every transaction that OPay is doing, MasterCard is going through Zenith Bank for OPay, because OPay is an MFB. So OPay might not have something that we used to call acquiring BIN. So you can see the stress of card transactions on payment gateway, that you want to pay, you want to buy something online and somebody says, this is Paystack, I want to buy 500,000 naira something. That small shinking thing that you want to do on payment gateway, right? That small thing that sounds stressless. If I tell you the process that it goes through before you get card successful, it was crazy. So people like InterSwitch came up and said, Why are we going through MasterCard? Why are we calling Visa? It's expensive. Let's be calling ourselves. Maybe it's me that issued the card, and I know the account number that I map the card to. Take my API. When you call me, pass the card bin to me. Pass all the card this thing, give the authentication, send me the card. Me, inside my own system, I'll look at the card, look for the person's account number, and debit the person's account. It started with payment gateway. We started that process with payment gateway, and we usually call it DCR, direct card routing. Somebody innovative took it to POS and said, let's start using it on POS. And that's why Money Point POS transaction started looking like it was very fast, like boom, boom. Somebody now sat down and thought about it in OPay and said, if we are doing that for card, why can't we do that same thing for funds transfer? Right? I want to transfer to Zenith Bank. I will just tell Zenith Bank that Zenith Bank, please credit Abimbola's account for me, rather than go through this middleman called NIBS. And today in the financial institutions, we have 5 major banks that are the best. We call them the Fugas, right? First Bank, UBA, GT, Access, and Zenith. 5. And somebody in OPay sat down and said, this is how we can solve it. Let's first of all go and meet the 5 biggest banks. Tell them that we'll open accounts with them. We have the largest customer base anyway. We'll open a bank account with them. We fund the account. Anytime we need to transfer money to a first bank person, we'll call them. They will debit our first bank account and credit the customer. And they started doing intra transfers. And that is how they said, for this vision, this is how we'll get there. And that was how they were able to define their solution and define their approach. They had to go through too many processes, too many orders, tested different things, and they landed that this is how we'll get there. Now, how we'll get there also involves, do we need a bank integration? Do we need a this? So imagine you're solving something now, and what you're solving requires payment. You start thinking, do you need a wallet provider? Do you need somebody that you need to integrate to provide wallets for you? Those are the kind of things that you define when you're talking about approach. Now, the next thing is success test. How do we know we are done? Meaning that we've tested this thing. How do we know that we're done? So this is what success looks like. How do we know that we're done? We are done when this happens. This happens, this happens, this happens, this happens. And in product, we call it definition of done. This is what success looks like for us. How do we know that we're done? Then you will break it down. You write your tests. You will break it down. When a customer clicks this, this happens. When a customer clicks this, this happens. When a customer selects this, this happens. And that is how you define the success tests, right? So in the use case that I said for OPay now and transfers, and I'm using that because it's something that we can all be familiar with, is that when a customer initiates transaction, our system calls First Bank. When it initiates to UBA, confirm that we don't call Zenith, we call First Bank. First success, that's how we know that we are done. First success is that we are calling First Bank. Second success is First Bank successfully credited the account. Third success is First Bank debited our account and credited the recipient. Fourth success, what's the timing? The time between you called them and the time that they responded. It could be part of your success test because part of your vision is it should be fast, right? So what is the definition of the timing? You have defined that the success, what success looks like for you, it should be instant. In your success test, you have to define what instant means by numbers. It should be 5 minutes, it should be 2 minutes, it should be 3 minutes, right? So, like I said, the first thing is your agenda, your problem, your vision, your approach, and your success test. So these are like the 5 things that you need for your structure scoping baseline. What's your agenda? What's the problem? What's the vision? What's your approach? And what's your success test? So the reason why I took my time to explain it in that place is because you are able to finally go through it like that. So your agenda is set the frame. your problem that you want to solve, the vision of your outcome, the path that it would take, and what's your measurable proof. So you must be able to say success, so scope it as a target, right? So add prioritized test for success to your scoping stack. Today, I know that I don't know if many teams have QA teams right now, but if you don't have quality assurance, you will want to pick one person or two years or all of you as your quality assurance persons, and you have to sit down and now define it. And so see an example that I made here, opinion based, make it user friendly. But a test-based approach for your success is that a new user must be able to complete onboarding under 3 minutes. The example I gave the other time was for funds transfer. I said, OPay said they wanted fast. In your success test, you must define what fast means. Does fast means 1 minute? Does fast means 30 minutes? When I am writing user stories for my engineers, one of the things that they love is that I always put time, and they hate me for it, but they still love me for it because it kind of puts them on the urge, right? So when I write things like, I want name inquiry to just be 3 seconds. I mean, they say, how can it be 3 seconds? I don't care how you can do it. It's just 3 seconds. And they're like, oh, something. And when they now meet it, they will not be jumping. I did it in 1.5 seconds. And I'm like, duh. They're like, you that you said 3 seconds, even lower. But it kind of gives them that success mindset as they are building. Because when they don't have a KPI, they don't have a target, they just build. And when they just build, they'll tell you that it's not slow now. Because you did not define it in your metrics. You did not define that success means 2 seconds for me. So you must define it. And please don't be outrageous in your definition. Please, you need to be able to think about it that, okay, we call this, we do this, we do this, we do this in under 2 minutes. So you must be able to define it. So when I joined CreditDirect, I managed CreditDirect's first digital platform. They never had a digital platform. And when I joined, they recently built the app. Just shortly after I joined, the app was launched. So I met an app that was built. Unfortunately, it was so terrible. And I remember it was a funny thing among staff that they used to say that if you want to sweep the floor, use CreditDirect app, like where you want to eat. So in 2 months, we changed that story. And part of the things that we discovered was, the provider that we're using for the transfer, we cannot use a provider that is not fast. So, we have to define that success by ourselves, that we don't want people to say our happy is what makes people sweep the floor. And we defined that success as a target for ourselves. And now when we're in the office and people are making jokes, just hear things like, oh man, this transfer don't go. The screen has not even finished loading. The person has gotten the alert. And those are some of the things that gives you joy as a product person. Not that the company is seeing your work, but that the customers, the clients that you're working with, they're able to say, this is the joy. So that's why it's very, 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 very important, as I'm emphasizing on you defining KPIs when you're talking about your successes. So you must have your document, your acceptance criteria. You must write them as test-based. It must be testable, right? And you must be able to pass the test. So you have to define that. Now, your key activities and your deliverables basically is that you must be able to write the scope that will define your specific outputs. So for example, the activity that you want to do is conduct user interviews. You must be able to, your deliverable is research summary. If the activity is build a prototype, you must be able to deliver a clickable Figma file. If your activity is to write an API spec, you must be able to have a documented endpoint. So your activities must produce an output, right? So it means that for every activity that you do in all the work that all of you are about to do in this phase, there must be an output. Somebody cannot say I'm working or I'm doing this and there's no output for it. So as you are in your building phase, for every activity that you are doing, you must be able to define what the output for that activity is. And the next thing is your requirements. Like I said, you must not assume that this is how it works. I think I've said this in my stories at the beginning, and I'm just highlighting it again to say, if you assume, you are killing yourselves. You must be able to eliminate early. It means that you must be able to write your requirements very explicitly. And see, it's not a waste of time to break things down. And I know that we are in AI age, right? You think AI can write it for you. I can bet it with you. AI will never think like you. When I write user stories, I teach AI, you are missing this out. What if this happens? And that's because you understand the human factor more than the system. The system will give you system requirements to give you how the system should work. But the human part of it, you are the one that can assume, because you know the part of you being a human that an engine or a system cannot know. So you be the one to end up to teach it, right? So you want to be able to save time, you want to reduce rework, and you want to be very realistic. You want to be honest, and you want to scope something achievable. So it means that when you start early to say this is our vision, you move straight to start breaking everything down to get to that vision. By the time you are breaking down, you'll be able to know that this one is not leading to our vision. No. It looks like we're over scoping, or we are under scoping, or we are scoping out of the scope. So you are able to define it when you reduce things. I can bet you it will save you a lot of time before your development starts, and it will reduce rework, and it will allow you to stay realistic to what your team can also deliver. So by the time you break things down, that's how you'll be able to know, even in your team's capacity. I can't lie to you. We have had to redesign things because engineers that we have on ground does not have the skill. It's not a bad thing. Everybody has their skill. Everybody has the level of what they are. So you must be able to break things down. And things that I always talk about is you must be able to gather customer scenarios. You must be able to map requirements so that stakeholders can align, debate, and prioritize. So I'm talking about stakeholders are all of you, basically in your team. You can categorize them into 3 inputs. That is, what it does, the user stories, the features, the workflows. What are the user stories for what you want to build? What are the features you're building? What are the workflows? How will it work? Then the second thing you must highlight is how it will perform. That's where your speed comes in, your security comes in, and your scalability comes in. So for example, you are starting to build small now, but you have to ensure that when you want to scale, you are not recoding. So you have to code from the beginning in a way that the system is smart. You understand? Also security. Do you want to use OTPs? Do you want to do authentication and all that? Then speed. I think I've highlighted what speed, the importance of speed in some of the things that you want to build. No customer will sit down to a screen that is rolling, we are coming soon. Then also your compliance demands. What does the legal say? What is the accessibility, data rules? Are you building something that it cannot be compromised? You cannot afford for it to be compromised. So these are some of the things that you really need to pay attention to, and make sure that your requirements are debatable and prioritizable, right? So you have to categorize every input that you have into one of the 3 buckets: what it does, how it performs, and compliance demands. And you can break this down amongst yourself to say, as you're defining your user story, your feature, your workflows, ensure that it involves the performance, ensure that you have compliance in mind is very important. Then You should be able to scope without constraints. Look at your schedule, look at your budget, look at the risk, look at the go or no go decision. Are we doing this or not? All of you are stakeholders. You must be able to lock up yourselves in this. So what are your realistic timelines with milestones for everything that you've documented? You've documented a lot of things. Are you having a scope that is going beyond the timeline that is the plan is? Are you having a scope that is going beyond MVP definition, budget, this thing that we're trying to build? For example, people that want to use AI tools, don't forget that thing is expensive. You have to ensure that you're not going beyond your budget. Even if it is an engineering decision, you can only afford 2 engineers for now. Let's say it's in real life, you can't afford a third engineer. So your budget is important. Or this thing that we want to build, we include us. So in real life, in the real engineering world, sometimes when we want to build, we start telling each other that this thing that I want to build will be powerful. Let me tell you why. We might need to build like 7 new microservices that we need to pay AWS more money. You'll not be thinking, can we scope it in a way that is not expensive? The tools that we want to use, we will pay for it. Can we use tools that are not expensive? Is there a new way around it and all that? So those are some of the things. And also considering budget, you now start budgeting things based on priority, right? What are the things that are important to the platform now? What are the things that we can do later? Then also risk, you have to name who are the risk owners. For platform level, this is it. For user level, this is this person. That way you are able to define the risk owners. Then your go or no go explicit decision criteria. And risk owners does not have to be human beings too. It can be systems. There's a huge risk owner when it comes to security. A risk owner is the server. You understand? So those are some of the things that you need to do. Then also your go or no go decision. When all of you are gathered and talking, what are the things that you are saying no go? What are the things that you're saying go? And you must be able to prioritize, right? And you must be able to ask what you need from your stakeholders to proceed. This final to say that the ship is ready to close. Just do your scope checklist. So before work begins, confirm that you can all answer yes to these 3. Can you name your success tests? Measurable proof points, not vague goals. Things that are testable things in everything that you want to do. The second thing is, can you list your deliverables? What are the key activities what are the outputs that are tied to the key activities that you want to do as a team? I'm going to write these endpoints. This is what will come out of it. I want to do this. This is what will come out of it. Then the third thing is, do you have a go or no go decision? Are there constraints? Are there risks? Are there things that you must need to ask? So if you have this, then you can use your scope and convert your idea into a shippable plan. So this is very, very important. You must be able to answer these 3 questions. What's your success test? What's your deliverables? And do you have go or no go decisions? So do you have any questions for me? Let me see. Questions from me.
Thank you very much, Abimbola. That was a very, very great session. Guys, if we have any questions, we can either raise our hands or we can drop it in the chat. Please, if you have any questions, kindly drop it in the chat or raise your hand and we'll take it one after the other. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Okay. Good evening, Tombra. Please unmute your mic and proceed.
Good evening. So mine is not actually a question, it's just a feedback. So well done, Abimbola. I don't want you to stop talking actually. But
Okay.
you had to stop, but I didn't want you to stop talking. Yeah,
Thank you
well
very
done.
much.
Well done. Like I know, well done.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, Lawali.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Abimbola. Thanks for the session. I think I was on the road when I joined, and I tried to just try to take a walk a bit so that I can listen. Um, keen. Now, let me. I would like to start from where you. I would like to bring my concern, right, from where you started from, which is around scoping project, right, to a problem that you really want to solve, right. So I'm coming from a background of engineering, right, and of course, um, being a software engineer, it's I really see it to be a very tough thing, discussing or coming up with a project. So I've been thinking, I've been working on a product for it's a year, or no, sorry, it's over 6 months now, right? And from the various analysis, survey, and checks and everything that I've been doing, I have I keep on coming, I keep on saying that okay, this thing exists, right? The issue of OP um that you made reference to, the solution that is not from what I can denote from that, not really solving a a problem like straightforward, but solving a problem that is a problem but we don't know is a problem. Or let me
Yes.
reframe that. So SIM
Yes,
card,
you are right.
SIM card,
Yes, you are right.
SIM card. Okay, yeah. So SIM card, we didn't thought of it to be, something that we should use to as an account number, right? But then these guys come up with that motive, and we just buy into it. So I'm working on the product I'm working on, right? At every point, it has couple of it's a microservice that have couple of features. Every feature is a microservice, right? And it's just I see it as okay. This thing exists in so SaaS system, but then this is not the way it is. So the only thing that keep me going pushing about the project is just that okay, there is a global market, right? That you can also find a niche to just do it. One, there are so many constraints, which is pricing, which is also availability, and also of course the you know current data residency or digital sovereignty issue. So to me, is it has really been a thing, but I like the angle where you come in, which is the sampling the OP thing, and it really opened a wide range of understanding for me. And I must say, kudos to you in that angle. Just it just raise up my hope again and say, okay, this thing is actually possible. You don't have to do it the way they are doing it, or you don't have to compete. It's not competition. It's just solving your problem yourself. So solving a problem, the way you want to solve it. Now they will follow suit when they see the light, right? Other people or some other
Yes.
people will follow suit when they see the light. And also in the part of um I want clarity, right, in this area. I work with a bank, and um couple of integrations around InterSwitch, Naves. Currently, they are I'm working on the NPS, and it really a big thing for me to really understand that what can we say the future of payment system is like, right?
Mm.
Um, every day I get my junior colleagues, AI, and I'm not really a stone aged person, but I understand trends and I follow trend. Yeah. But when it comes to things like using AI to, of course, as some part of the code, you can just ask questions. There's no longer Stack Overflow is no longer places that I go to right now. So is like it's really sometimes you need to sit down and come to yourself, I have to come to myself and say, okay, I really want to do this thing, regardless of someone come up with it in 2 days and come up with his own part in 2 days, and you are still working on, making it original and secure, because security conscious and scalability is a very big thing for me. So the future of payment system today, what is it really like? Because there are so many automated payment system, some that I have experienced, some have not experienced. Like I can just automate my card, AI can do shopping for me, this and that. Like relating with AI and security and everything, where are we, you know, going, or what's the future like? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. You've asked me a buttload of questions, so I'm going to answer one by one. So first question is, you asked me about the idea that you have and solving. So I will give you an example, and I'm sure I still remember all your questions. Um, Sometimes in 2016, I was working in Lekki, and I used to enter bus with one of my colleagues at Lekki Phase 1. We used to enter bus to Obalindi. Then we'll go there, we'll go and take the BRT to the mainland. I never liked the island for anything. I think the only place I can live on the island is Ikoyi. Sorry, but it's just me. And so I used to ask myself, can there be a staff bus that all of us can be entering? I was working in a very small company, and my organization could not afford to buy a staff bus. So I just said it because each time we are going, when we get to Obalinde or we're passing through Obalinde, we always pass through MTN. And if you know MTN very well at Awolowo, their office, they have staff buses. They close by 4 in MTN, by the way. So they have staff buses that takes their staffs back home from the office. So that day I was looking at the staff buses, and trust me, I'm always jealous of those buses because sometimes we miss BRT, right? And we have to enter those yellow buses. Those yellow buses are creepy buses. Your body is stinking. When you're going to work in the morning, we used to enter these big Obalinde buses because I used to live at Ojojo Bega. So I would enter those buses from Ojojo Bega, and my office was at Lekki. So sometimes I would drop at, I would enter those buses, drop at Obalinde, from Obalinde, take another bus to Lekki. I used to have to change my clothes. So I used to wear normal clothes to the office. Then when I get to the office, I'll go and change to my corporate wear, spray my perfumes, because from the buses I'm smelling, right? And this was a major Lagos problem. I just used to say it that time that, I wish my office had a staff bus. Fast forward to 3 years later, a babe, she came out and she said, he bought 2 buses. And she said, this app, book a private staff bus. Book a private staff bus and you will pay. Now you can pay monthly, or you can pay per ride, or you can pay for a week. So you know the number of days that you're going to the office in a week. They will come to your bus stop. They will pick you up. They will drop you at the bus stop of your office. And when you close at work, you go and meet them at the bus stop. On the app, you can track when they get there. The app has AC, your body is not stinking, and you're fine. Welcome, Shuttlers. Shuttlers solved the problem that we didn't think we had. We all knew we had the problem, but we thought it was a Nigerian thing. Everybody were all grumbling that this country, I'm tired of this country. This country is tiring, and it was what I used to say that, what kind of country are we in? Why is this country so stressful? In abroad, they have all these buses that stay by the roadside, and that was why they did BRT, right? But she created a private staff bus. Tell me why that private staff bus is now a company worth billions now. She doesn't own the fleet anymore. People are bringing in their fleets. And she has started solving more and more problems. And that's why I tell you that you can solve a problem that has been solved but they might have solved it another way. BRT solved that problem, right? BRT had ACs, and the reason why these buses had ACs was because we used to smell in downfall. But BRT still became inconvenient. I'm sorry for people that don't live in Lagos that can't relate to my example, but that's like how I can give you an example of solving a problem that has been solved a certain way, but you can solve it better. Or solving a problem that people don't know exists. People don't even know that it is a problem, but has been solved. And that's also what I sitting down with problem actually gives. Like when you sit with a problem, there's no way solution will not come out of it. And your solution will be mad. That's why I used to tell people, I want to build an app. You tell AI tells you these are 7 ideas you can build. No. When you spend your daily life with people in the market, you will understand the problems that a lot of people are solving. I know a company that is solving the problem of internet on POS devices, because the problem is when you go to some markets like eco markets that there is no internet there, the POS does not even get notified that you've done a payment. So they have started implementing things like offline payments. And to your second question, talking about future of payments. The future of payments is credit. The future of payments is credit. We've done instant transfer, we've done all these things. How do we layer payments to credit? How can we layer that opportunity to credit? So we have a global payment system now, which is what NPS is doing. And many of you that don't know NPS is NIB's new payments rail that allows us to be able to do global payments seamlessly. It means that I'm transferring abroad, I'm transferring money abroad, receiving money from abroad, can now be part of what defines what credit is. The definition of credit will change. We are having, if you know loans, a lot of people think loan is a bad thing, but loan is a good thing. The more you take loan and you repay back, the more your credit score grows. And this is what they are living on in the UK and in the US. And you're looking like, oh, a 21-year-old can drive a car because he has a good credit score. His mom or his dad has a good credit score. And that is the future of payments. At the end of the day, below payments, will have that layered credit layer. That for every transaction that you make, for everything that happens, we'll have that. Second thing that I see as the future of payments is the robustness in fraud monitoring. We're going to have a very robust fraud monitoring as we go, because now payment data can be studied more. With the benefit of AI, we will have that level where we can train a data on fraud. Is going to be crazy, because part of what we are sending for NPS now, which is the National Payment Stack, is that we're putting IP addresses, we're putting BVNs, we're putting this, we're putting this. It means that we have richer data points. And as we have richer data points, we have richer systems. And it means that we can easily flag this person is fraudulent. So if somebody has been flagged fraudulent, if the person comes to your platform, you will not allow the person into your platform. So I think that is the future of payments. I think credit is the future of payments. I think global fraud system is the future of payments. And I think offline payments is the future of payments. But I can tell you for free that payments have just scratched the surface. We've not even gone as far as we can go for what payments can do. And so I think by the time we layer credit on payments, it means that we've layered data. It means that we can now innovate beyond where we are. And that's my answer for you. So thank you very much, Wale. I hope I answered your question because I tried to remember everything. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Abimbola. That was it. That was the summary of the two questions I asked, so concerns basically.
Thank you. Thank you.
To the monitoring of sorry, because the project I'm working on somehow um speaks to monitoring of access, right, to a system. I know Active Directories, um the various, SIM, manage engine and the likes. Like there are so many guys that handle some of these things. But um I've been looking for is which speaks to the mind of which the key point that you just raised now, which is MPS requesting for IP address. An IP address can be flagged, an email can be flagged. I remember if not twice or once this year, we've got notification from CBN that some list of BVNs that they were associated to a fraud and the likes. Kindly check your system. Those things is just, to me, it seems it's part of what bettered an idea in me that okay, this thing is just a one-time thing. So what if the guys didn't come today? I just ran a check, on the list of BVNs or list of accounts that and say okay, those BVN doesn't exist. But what if the guy come the next day? What happened? The guy will just be sitting there until someone thought of it or remember again and say, oh, let me check this thing again. And of course, that is a very big issue for me, right? There's no automated way of checking, right, per every, like an added layer to what, who is accessing a system. um a policy, there are so many policies you can set up in um active directories, right? And some of them are not even the policies I'm thinking in my head. They have not even been thought of. Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I stand to be corrected, right? They have not even been thought of, right? That okay, somebody can access your system. You can decide to say, okay, let it be only this set of people be accessing my system. Like this, you can only use this particular browser. You can only use this login at so time. Yeah, those things can be set up. It's just logic. Check, 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 check. Right. But how long does it take to set those things up? It's a very big issue for me, right? And I think thank you very much. Thank you. I'll just stop there. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, like I said, don't think that nobody has thought of it. If you have an idea, jump on it immediately. That's my advice for you. Sincerely, you'll be shocked that 15 people are thinking about it. So if there is no further question, I think I'll say thank you very much for having me. I can store my email address and you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's my name, Abimbola Bajomo. I might not reply fast, but I'll surely reply. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Abimbola. It was really, really great having you on board. Before we close out, a few important updates on where we are. Okay, thank you. A few important updates on where we are and what is expected of every one of us this week is that we're currently in week 2 of Launchpad Africa Cohort 2, and this is an active build week, which is one of the reasons why we had this session. So by the end of this week, right, we expect that your team should have done 3 things. First one, which is your project of entry created and currently stated as active. Secondly, a clearer and more defined problem and solution scope, which is informed by today's session. And then thirdly, active communication within your team. So if you've been quiet and keeping things on the low or doing private conversations, please have it publicly, and because now is the time to show up. So it's very important for others to be inspired by the conversations we have openly. We know that some teams are still figuring out their structure while some of us are still working with gaps. That's perfectly fine, really, but the work still has to move. So please, let's use every resource available. Connect with Abimbola if you need to. We had a session last Saturday. Connect with that speaker as well if you need to. Use every resource available to you. Use AI. Let's keep the momentum going. If your team is stuck or if you have concerns at all, please reach out to a mentor, reach out to the admin on the group. Please don't go silent. What this cohort rewards is those that keep showing up, just as we already stated in the beginning of this session. Then lastly, on behalf of the entire Launchpad Africa team, we say a huge thank you to Abimbola Bajomo for giving us our time her expertise and her clarity today. You guys are not clapping for her. She ate up this session. Thank you so much for being here. Week 2 is yours. Let's go ahead and make it count. Thank you all. See you next week. Have a wonderful Wednesday. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.